Hello, and welcome to the Hidden Gifts of Loss podcast. I'm your host, Julie Trainer. And on this podcast, we talk about different kinds of losses that we've gone through and how we grew and changed and transformed as a result. And sometimes it's about the loss of a loved one due to death. And sometimes it's about other kinds of losses, job loss, identity loss, and reconfiguring who we are now as a result. And today, my guest is Rhonda Linn, and she is an author and an entrepreneur. She likes to see life through the seasons. She started a business and she helps spiritual authors bring their books out into the world. That's a topic that's near and dear to me. And Rhonda, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. It's just been a joy being in your Facebook group, Julie, and I really appreciate the opportunity to connect.
Oh, thank you so much. So you have had many losses in your life, and I know that it started with a loss of relationship at a young age. I know how devastating that can be, that first relationship loss, and you spent a lot of years as an educator, but you knew that you in your soul were a writer, and you went after that dream and made it a reality.
So I always knew that I was supposed to write, and my degrees are in English, and I did a lot when I was in high school and college. And then I didn't really know what a career path to like becoming a writer professionally looked like. And so I went into English education, and I loved that. I loved my students, my colleagues, and had a great experience. Used to teach poetry workshops to middle schoolers as well as like in the prison system as well. And it was just like an amazing opportunity, but then I didn't have the bandwidth to do what I was felt like I was being called to do. And so when the pandemic started, I really had this whole trifecta of things happen where my job was already really intense, and then it got more intense with the pandemic, and I had a really close relative get very sick. And I just knew that I needed a different way forward. And so I started an online business at that point that's allowed me to just follow the breadcrumbs back to writing.
I love that. Just returning to the core of who you really are. The pandemic, I think, transformed so many of us in ways that we didn't expect, and that kind of gave us that hidden gift to rethink things. Tell me about your business.
So I have an agency, and I was always like weary of business just because so much of it is unethical, and I had all these reservations about it. But we work like with world-changing entrepreneurs and world-changing writers, so embodied people that do like somatic healing and just that are like charting a different path forward for our world. And so it just feels like really aligned to help bring their services and bring their messages into the world. I have a small team who's amazing, and we do like virtual assistant, online business management, and copywriting services for our clients, as well as helping people bring their long form texts in the form of books into the world as well.
That is so cool. I think I need your services. Yeah, I like what you said about not having the bandwidth. I so get that. I think we all feel pulled in so many directions in our world, and I get that overwhelm and overload sometimes. It makes you just want to take a step back and unplug. And I've also subscribed to your newsletter, and I like what you said about the last one. I think you were walking your dog out in nature or something. Yeah, that I have a dog too, and I take her in the woods, and it's just being in nature. Where do you live?
I'm in Michigan.
I'm in Ohio. We definitely go through the seasons.
Absolutely. Like the
Yeah.
seasons have been such a gift to my life. Just I think like our culture asks us to be like super professional and super youthful and just like shining all the time. But then like when we look to nature through the seasons, there's seasons when the trees don't have leaves, and you can look at a rose bush and sometimes it will be like in full bloom in some spots and dead blooms in the other. And I just think it gives us like such a generous metaphor for our own lives that like as we go through losses and as we go through grief, that we're just made up of all of these complex parts, and like coming to peace with that and letting go of this like ideal that our culture gives us that just wants us to be perfect all the time can be really empowering.
Yeah, it's fall and winter is a dormant period. It is a death of sorts, and it's natural. I think we have a kind of a death phobic culture. I grew up in Southern California and I came to Ohio in my late 20s. And at first, I really struggled with winter and with seeing the trees bare. I think it had that seasonal affective disorder because
Sure.
it,
Yeah.
but then I'm right there with you as far as the seasons. I always feel a little bit of resistance to winter, but that has its own kind of beauty as well. And I think being tuned in to that, I became so much more grounded. I didn't even realize how ungrounded I was in LA. And when I go back there now, I feel like I could never live there again, as
Yeah.
beautiful as it is. So, what are some of your books you've written?
So
Talk to me
my
about that.
first book is being published very shortly here, and it's a book of poems called The Chapel of Small Breath. And it's very much about grief in a way. It's about a significant relationship that I had, and then that relationship dissolved, and then just the process of figuring out where to go from there and how to move forward in a way that's not tidy like a bow, that's a complex process. So it
Mhm.
was such a healing process to write that book because just the whole thing falling apart was something I was just so ashamed of and just had a lot of fear around. And writing this book in the last year has just been a wonderful experience just to revisit those memories and also give a testimony that healing is possible and that we can find the holy stitch right through all of our lives, through those really low points and the high points as well. And that's just so beautiful to me as a concept.
Yeah, for sure. What's the title again?
It's called The Chapel of Small Breath.
Ooh, I love that. How did you come up with that title? What does
There's
that
actually
mean?
there's like the last poem in the text. It has that in there as a line, and it's really a poem about being feeling like totally broken, but also strong at the same time, like feeling like you're just like choking through salt, but then you also want to sing. So it's just like giving testimony to these complex parts of ourselves that we go through as we're navigating life.
Mm. Do you have any poems that you would want to share? And if you
I'm
don't, it's okay, but
I'm just like not prepared. I could definitely pull them up or pull any up if you'd like, but
yeah, I can tell that you have a gift with words.
thank you.
Mm.
I think when I was working in education, I was like so much emphasis on being like so professional that I thought so much of what I wanted to say didn't fit into this mold. And so I almost think I felt like energetically blocked, or I don't know, however you want to say it, just blocked up. And stepping away from that career in many ways has helped me to just like, get back in touch with like all of those parts of myself. And I'm just like so grateful to share my work and my mindset with others.
Sorry for putting you on the spot, but
No,
I'm
that's
feeling
totally
like
fine.
I want to hear your poetry, and I'm sure everybody else would love to hear it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one pulled up and then I can scroll to another one if you'd like me to.
Okay, awesome.
So I will say that this whole book is dedicated to my friend Lynn Rather, who passed away last year. And Lynn helped me with many of these poems in this book. And the other thing is she really encouraged me to share them, and I just wasn't ready to do that for a long time. And she published a book of poems like as she was dying, and she really inspired me not to wait that long. And so I just have so much gratitude in my heart for her and just like for that inspiration that she gave me to actually step into this journey.
Yeah, sounds like a hidden gift.
Indeed, absolutely. So the first poem in the book is called Rock Cycle, and it's dedicated to my friend Lynn. Modern day patron saint of lost causes, like a lesson a long way from the darkness that hinged one day to another when all the pots and pans echoed his absence like sediment washing through the rock cycle inside of me. Everything eroding with the swish of water to fragments, disillusion. You were watching, my hands full of sand, broken hourglass that sat on the rocks and filled the pockets of my near drowning. And somehow you kept me from washing away with the tides, so much later I emerged to wash the dust from my white windowsills again. I was folded and stretched by all the fault lines. Those strike slip boundaries are the danger in two people moving next to one another. And he and I were smashed and crushed, but in the end, neither of us came out on top. We just jetted vulnerable into the pale sky as we sat with dead hearts, cold coffee, pizza alone that Thanksgiving. I never thought that I would be subducted through this fire, but now I believe in undoing and transformation because sleeping tearfully on your couch that winter somehow saved me. So thank you for planting seeds in the spring when I thought salt was sown into my fields. We watched the sky from your yard go neon over the soaring fields. The wind blew the topsoil to our windowsills where we wiped it away later. But that day, the furrows were just planted, even though the bedrock was painfully near the surface. And when I looked into your face, I saw my own reflection, everything hard and soft at once. We stood there watching this great ring inside us as the sun set neon over the plains. The deer were just at the edge of the field, and there was a faint sound of a tired engine turning over in an old man's backyard. A bride's bird bones were singing to the chime of church bells. A sore back rested against the kitchen counter, tea kettle boiling. There was a hacking cough, a faith in redemption, a cup of tea, a paper wrinkled hand. See, even now we are vibrant and young and old and ruined at once, frayed along the edges. We are broken and new, tired and wise, moving through the landscape, always breathless.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was right there with you with the details, the pizza alone at Thanksgiving. And this is about the first relationship dissolving.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can just hear how painful it was, and yet how you reconciled it within yourself and what jetted off into the sky. I can see you both going your separate ways, but making peace with it. I just have to let that wash over me. Would you grace us with another one?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me find another one here. Um, so there's a poem that starts, it's called Thanks. And so the book is in three parts. Like the first part talks about the relationship, the second part is the relationship dissolving, and then the third part is like this journey to an uncertain renewal. And so this starts the part talking about the relationship. It's called Thanks. Almost Christmas, he pulls a single orange warm from his pocket. The peel falls in soft pieces as we sit in the kitchen, separating segments that suck the gray light.
Wow. Suck the gray light.
Speaking of that Midwestern winter, how gray it is.
It's like a big blanket of gray. And the
Mhm.
sun hardly ever makes an appearance. And the orange is like almost like the sun. Rhonda, dang, you have a gift with words.
Oh, thank
Fantastic.
you.
When this book comes out, will it be on Amazon? Where can we get it?
Yeah, so it'll be like at major book resellers. I published it through Bell Publishing House, which kind of specializes in working with spiritual entrepreneurs and embodied change makers.
Can you talk to me about the process of working with authors to help them birth their
Yeah.
books? Now they come to you stuck or just not sure where to go next or
Yeah, I people come to me at all different phases in the process, and like I just think that bringing your words into the world is like such a sacred gift, and to have a thought partner through that process and another set of eyes on things and all of that just can help you navigate your way through the maze of writing a book. And so I've had people that kind of had the book written and really wanted to just some support polishing it. I've had people that had a terrible time like writing the actual words down, but they could meet on Zoom and talk about the chapters, and then I could craft their words from those conversations. And I have people that send me like walkie-talkie messages on like Boxer or WhatsApp when we craft those. So it really looks different just depending on what people's style is for working and what really works for them. But I love, and then my team does support with the cover design and layout and all of that kind of stuff. So people that really have the text ready to go, but just don't want to spend hours and hours getting that ready to self-publish, we can support with that project process as well.
oh, okay, I feel like this is meant to be. I think you're exactly what I need for where I am with my memoir. How do we find you?
Yeah. And so my business is named Rhonda Linn Virtual Solutions, just my name. And I think like one of the things that I try to do with clients and like with my writing too is just to help people either see their books or see their businesses through the lens of the seasons. Like how can we set up like systems that support you and just make things easier? How can we lean into your natural energetic cycles and leverage those instead of trying to fight upstream all of the time? And so we definitely are like doers in terms of tasks and things like that that people need done, but I try to come in as just like a strategic thought partner to help people really make their business support their lives, because I think when we do that, it's transformative, and that we can like really let our gifts shine when we let go of some of these ideals of our culture of consistency or these other things. Like how do we figure out how to work the way that you like to work so that you can be really successful and make a lot of money and make a huge impact in the world?
I think figuring out how one works, that's a process too. Like you said, there's all this cultural ideas around how you should be and how
Mm-hmm.
you should work, but that might not be how you authentically need to work. And so, what a gift to have someone help you figure that out. And I know like in the summer, I feel like it's harder for me to really focus on writing because I want to be outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially when we live in the north, we know that those days are numbered, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to take advantage of them. But in the winter, you can hibernate and you don't feel like you're missing out on the warm days. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And like doing that in a way that like doesn't make it wrong. Because I think so often I feel the same way with loving to be outside. And then in a past version of me would have just been like beating myself up the whole time. Oh, I should be doing this or that or the other thing. But like when you zoom out and see life through the seasons, you can give yourself permission to like have that nourishing time the way it will be, like knowing that you can just let go of those all those shoulds that buzz around our heads.
Yeah, that framework just makes so much sense. And it's there, it's like a part of us. And I think we lose sight of that in our culture. Now you can get food that's out of season anytime you want, as opposed to that knowing, oh, we can only get the really good sweet corn though here in Ohio. You can buy it during the winter, but it's not going to taste the same. Yeah. Oh, where in Michigan are you?
I'm like in central Michigan. I live like way out in the country. I have a 36-acre homestead, and I've been slowly converting it into a food forest over time. And it's just taught me so many lessons like about life and work and just the seasons.
36 acres. Oh my God, that is so cool. Yeah, I want to bring my camper up there. My daughter and I went all the way up to the UP last summer.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it was a 3-day drive towing the camper, which that's the first time I had ever taken it that far. That was a little hidden gift from my parents too. It's something I had always wanted, and they made that possible. Oh, it's beautiful up there. And she lives in Ironwood up there with her boyfriend, and I know the winters are just intense. Apparently, they have to remove the snow. They can't just plow it. They actually have trucks that have to take it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Is it like that where you are too?
No,
Not
not so
quite that
much. Although I
bad.
know friends in the UP that would be able to go out their second story windows into the snow. I don't know if I would like that. No, we don't get that much snow here
No,
locally.
that's a bit too much. Yeah, I know the cars literally are buried and they can't go anywhere. And people actually use snowmobiles to get around in the
Hmm.
winter, which wow. Which I'm so surprised that my daughter, she's been up there for 4 years and she's a summer girl. And so I'm impressed with how she's adapted to this. But yeah.
I bet
Mm.
it's one of those things though that it probably makes her, and certainly like me, even with a less severe winter, really value those summer months too, and just take advantage of them because they're not going to last and what's coming, and that can be a gift too.
Mhm. Yeah, she almost never uses the air conditioning in her car. She keeps the windows down. She says, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have the windows up for half the year. So I want to feel the wind and feel the seasons. I love that you bring it back to the seasons too, because that's so important. And when we're not fighting it, when we're just at peace with what is going on outside, it just makes it easier for things to just flow.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think about that a lot with when we go through times that are really challenging in our life through grief or loss, that so much of us wants to make everything better and move forward and be fine again. But really being able to lean into those times can transform our lives. I think that's something I've experienced over and over again, that just being able to sit with that discomfort can give us so much clarity and direction about what the next chapters look like and teach us about ourselves. And there's so many gifts there if we can just be willing to be with how icky it feels.
And I think too that you really can't avoid grief. You
Mhm.
can try, but it's there. It's emotion is water, right? And it has to flow. It has to go somewhere. And I found that to be true as well. Be when you don't fight it, when you're just in it. And I was in it. I was in it for a year. I knew that I wasn't the same person, but I didn't know who I had become,
Mhm.
like you said, after going through that loss of that relationship. So, yeah. And then that's when the hidden gifts thing came to me. So, some of this transformation has been really good for me. I feel stronger and I feel more resilient and not waiting to write that book after losing your friend. That's powerful stuff. And it's not like we're not going to go through this at some point, just
Mhm.
like winter. We're all going to go through this, and it's really how you look at it and how you allow it to wash over you and transform you. That's
Yeah.
the gift. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's partly being really comfortable with, how do you say it, that our productivity is changed or that we're just like changed in what we can do from a functional capacity during those times. And there's so many shoulds chirping at us all the time about you should be doing this, that, or the other thing, but just being able to like release those for a little while and sit where you are is such, I don't know, it's been like transformational for me. I think about the two quotes. Don Louis Ruiz says, "Your best is changing all the time." And then Guru Singh says, "Do your best and be happy with it." And to me, those two things paired together have helped me so much in times of loss or grief, that it's my best is not what it was like last month or last year. And that I can just sit with what I can do now, knowing that it may be better tomorrow or next week or next year, but I can do what I can do right now. And just finding some peace with that for me helped a lot.
Yeah, that's very helpful. I need to write that quote down, put it right here on my computer. And the be- you're the best you can be right now and just be okay with that. And it is going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. Is there anything else you'd like to impart to us before we wrap up?
I think just viewing life through the seasons can just help us like see our lives like through a more nurturing lens. And that we like owe that to ourselves to like disconnect from like all of these, like the weight of expectations from our culture, and just all of these like conditioning that we grew up with, and like that we owe it to ourselves to like figure out what is our path and how can we allow ourselves to be changed when really difficult things happen to us, knowing that we will come out on the other side, and we'll do that with more clarity if we give ourselves the time to do it.
Yeah, Rhonda, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much for having me, Julie. I appreciate the opportunity.
you are so welcome.